And share some of your top priority ideas.
We had a lot of different ideas, and it's hard to pick two. But, first of all, we wanted to make sure that whatever plans that we make as a region, we want to account for all of the new technologies that are out there, particularly the impact of automated vehicles, and then different forms of mass transit. The idea being that we want to maximize the use of that technology, but also one of the critical elements, and these are kind of two ideas in one, is to maximize the access to the airports and the multimodal centers. So we're not just dealing with ground transportation, but we're linking the ground transportation to air, to water, and to the multimodal centers so that we can transfer easily from one mode to another. And the second one is to find a solution that would be supported by a majority of the region for funding purposes, because we've been through Green Light, we've been through the Tampa side. If whatever we come up with can't get funded, it won't matter. So, with that end in mind, we want to make sure that all the planning occurs. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Team 1.
Thank you. Team 2, who is your appointed spokesperson? Can you please come up and share your top 2 ideas?
I don't think we had one. Would you like to get an appointed one? Thank you.
Where?
7 and 10.
7 and 10. Okay.
In order for anything to work, it has to be available to people 7 days a week, and it has to go to major employment destinations and shopping centers where people want to go. Because that's the only people are going to use it if they can get where they want to go. And it needs to be used a lot in order to make it sustainable. Even if it's feasible. Public ownership and control of infrastructure. There was a feeling that it was better for this to be a public matter rather than trying to lease out to a private enterprise and lose control. Because particularly if it's leased out to public enterprise, we're going to wind up paying for it anyway. If they don't make money, they make a loss. It's going to be on our ticket.
Let's hear it for Team 2.
Team 3, who is your spokesperson?
I wasn't sure. I heard it as I was leaving. We have down here efficient multimodal options connecting central business districts and other high-density nodes, including technological innovations like autonomous vehicles, ride-sharing, transit, smart city concepts, etc. And the other one was more sustainable funding source for transportation, capturing more gas tax within the region without sending it to the federal government.
Let's hear it for Team 3.
Team 4, who's your spokesperson, please? Team 4.
Thank you very much. Team 4 prioritized pedestrian and bicycle safety throughout the county. We picked that as a top priority. First, there's nothing more important than human life, and we consistently rank as one of the worst regions in the country for walking and biking. The other reason we prioritize this is about 40 to 50% of the trips we take are under 3 miles long. So if we had safe options, you could bike that distance in about 20 minutes. More than a quarter of those trips are under a mile long. You could actually walk that in 20 minutes. So we thought this was key to increasing options. And then the other one we picked was number 9, originally suggested by Team 5. Multimodal transit options should include the entire region. We noticed the current maps and projects proposed really don't get to downtown St. Petersburg, and as one of the main activity centers in the county, we wanted to call that out.
Let's hear it for Team 4.
Team 5. One of your ideas has already made it up here, so that's a great compliment.
They share 2 others.
Right, well, I think one of our ideas obviously was just outlined having multimodal options for the other region, but the other idea was about the increasing focus on technology in our transportation system. So we want to make sure that we are prepared for emerging technologies like automated vehicles, automated and connected vehicles, we need both. We also want to advance current ATMS signal operations so they're compatible across all of our regions, many jurisdictions, and making sure that coordinates well with traffic safety and efficiency throughout our region.
Let's hear for Team 5. Any other clarifications from the larger group on what any of these ideas represent? Are they pretty clear? Also, are there any recommendations for combining any of the ideas that are so similar that we wouldn't want to split the vote, please?
A question on number 8. Could they talk about what that means?
Team 3, number 8. Who's your spokesperson? Team 3?
There's 3 on 10.
I forgot that one.
Yeah, number 8.
Oh, yes, okay, sorry. I thought we only did 2. Was really looking at all of the people who commute into the area from outside the area, and I guess it sort of depends on how you define a region, but making sure that you're making all those connections, and bringing those people in, and having that under consideration in the process.
I just assume they live in the region and the heck with it.
All right, are there any of these priority areas that we should consider combining so that when we go to vote for our personal top 3, that we don't split a vote? Take a fresh look and see if we should consider combining any like items here.
2 and 5 are both funded.
Okay, so there's a recommendation on the table to consider combining number 2, find solution that would be supported by majority of the region, and number 5, more sustainable funding source for transportation. Do those seem similar or not much?
Actually, I think the find solution number 2 was really more about public buy-in and, making sure that not just stakeholders, but potential users are on board with the idea so that it does move forward into the funding process.
Thank
So
you for
they're not
clarifying.
quite the same, but
Yes,
funding, of course, is a key.
yes, thank you. So at this point, we'll leave them.
Number 1 and 6.
Okay, what about numbers 1 and 6 as a possible combination? New technologies for number 1, and then number 6, need to prepare for emerging technologies. Merge. Any objections? Okay, we'll merge 1 and 6.
8 and 9.
All right. So the new, would it be 7 and 8 now? Improve multimodal connectivity, and number 8, multimodal transit options. Should we merge those? Any objections? Okay, so we'll merge 7 and 8, so we've got some good alignment going on across these teams. Any other possible combinations we should consider?
Why are we consolidating?
Just so that we don't split votes on basically very similar ideas. So it looks like we have a list of standalone ideas, 8. So when you're ready, review the full list and grab a polling device. And these are radio frequencies, so you don't need to point them anywhere. Yes?
So when you said combine, what you did was you just put them all on the same thing, right?
Yeah, we just merged them as a single idea instead of 2 separate ideas, so
So-
we wouldn't split a vote.
Why wouldn't you put those 2 funding things together?
Which items again?
Was that 2 and 5?
I think what I've heard is clarification is number 2 was perhaps even more broad than just funding.
It's a public buy-in, is what she was saying.
Consensus.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
consensus.
Public developing a plan that people can support with their money, rather than dealing with the money alone.
So, yeah. But thank you for clarifying that, that's important. All right, so pick your top 3 in order of priority. So the number that you press first will be weighted higher than the number you press second and then your third option. You look at your keypad as you press the number that corresponds with your top idea. Make sure you'll see a little flicker of light on your keypad. That will indicate that your vote is registering. We just want to get kind of a pulse in the room for which of these priorities are top for Pinellas, for the constituents in the room here. The polls are open. Please select top 3 in order of priority. Watch your keypad. Press. Okay. Everyone seeing green flickers of light? You have to press like you mean it. See that flicker of light? Top three, yes, please. All right, has everyone had an opportunity, or do we still need a little more time for you to consider top 3? All right, we'll close the polls in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so it looks like number 1 was the top idea around the new technologies, 19%. Then it looks like number 2 had 17%. Find a solution that would be supported by the majority of the community. And then number 5 got 16%. So more sustainable funding source for transportation. Those are your top 3, but you see that a lot of them had some good energy. So I meant to mention to you all, every idea that was generated today will be in the real-time record. Nothing gets lost. Everything gets captured. And Candace, who is capturing your reports, it's not court stenography, you guys, so it's not word for word. She kind of synthesizes and captures things. So if you look at the real-time record when you go to pull it up on the website, tampabaynext.com, if you have any changes you want to make, certainly let us know and we'll do that. But she does an amazing job capturing kind of a synthesis of what each person says. All right, so that's your top list. Any further thoughts or discussion related to the top ideas? All right, let's go to how do we organize? So I will invite team 1. Mike, if you can share which top 2 ideas your team came up with. Thank you.
Well, we like the idea of moving around the county, and the idea being to be able to track a more diverse group of individuals and cover the North and South County that way, being equally inconvenient to everybody. And that also allows us, we like the idea of the informational field trips that Team 4 had, and kind of in the process of getting to these different locations, we firsthand experience some of these transportation problems. So we have something to talk about when we get there. The second one is no siloing. When we do the subgroups, and I think the subgroups really work out well this way. I don't know if it was by design or accident, but each subgroup works best when you've got broad representation. You've got different viewpoints within a subgroup, so that you're not just talking to yourselves, that you're generating new ideas based on what each individual is sharing in the group. So we like that idea and make sure that we've got the different transportation agencies represented in each subgroup.
Good stuff. Thanks, Team 1. And it was by design. Cross-pollinated, so that's good. Team 2. Which 2 ideas did you have?
We prefer face-to-face meetings. We talked about there surely can be an option for other ways to meet, but we really think face-to-face, particularly in the beginning, is very important. And we like meeting here. At this point, it's in the middle, and it's almost here. It's equally inconvenient for both ends of the county.
All right, let's hear from Team 2. Thank you. And Team 3.
Well, we started with meeting on specific projects, including formal field trips, evaluate the impact on the project, and to also evaluate the impacts on the project and the surrounding areas. In other words, know sort of what the inputs are, et cetera, into that area. And then the second thing was coordinate meetings throughout the county using the technology that you have here to enable multiple meeting locations, and then people in the different locations can still participate in the same manner that we do here. It's just that you would be focused in the area that you're in, so that when you get into more specific local projects, you've got people that are actually living in that area and understanding the impacts better than maybe the larger group would.
Let's hear for Team 3. So that brainstorm software you were using tonight, that can be used remotely, and people can virtually kind of add ideas. All right, Team 4.
Thank you. Our group also talked about the importance of informational field trips, especially ones where we've had the ability to walk or bike or hop on a bus and see some of the different economic development patterns we have around the county. We have a lot of really unique town centers and other areas, so we thought that would be really valuable. And then we also selected number 8. We thought it was important to have North and South Pinellas committees coming together at quarterly meetings because we're all, sharing ideas from throughout the county about what will work.
Great. Let's hear for Team 4. Team 5.
Thank you. So for our first idea, so we all go to, or many of us go to lots of meetings all the time, so we thought we should meet on a quarterly basis to help reduce the number of meetings, but also make sure we get our input in. There should be enough information at each of those meetings so we're able to provide meaningful input for the organizers. And then ideally those materials will be provided in advance via email and on their website. And we'd also like the organizers to provide responses to ideas that are suggested through these meetings. And for our second idea, we thought it was important for there to be a concerted effort to reach traditionally underrepresented communities who may not traditionally come to these sorts of meetings. We also talked about reaching out to first responders, who are often the people who are, on boots on the ground in a diverse array of communities, as well as finding opportunities to increase communication, especially through the media, and to seek feedback from all citizens and business owners. And these meetings should be held at times and places that are convenient and, of course, accessible by transit.
All right. Thank you, Team 5. Are there any other clarifications we want to capture before we consider combining any like items? Any clarifications needed? All right, do we want to consider combining any of these items?
7 and 10.
All right, what about 7 and 10? The field trips and then also specific projects and information. You good with that? Any objections? All right, so 7 and 10. We'll take a quick, fresh look at the new list and see if there are any others. Are 2 and 6 very similar? So no siloing. Each subgroup should have broad representation.
No.
Okay. Okay. What about 1 and 6? Move the meeting location around the county to attract diversity. Okay. All right. Well, do these look like standalone ideas for how we should organize in Pinellas County? All right, so the polls are open. Please select your top 3 in order of priority. Okay, watch your keypad as you select each number. You'll see that flickering light, and that's good to go. We will, has everyone had an opportunity to select 3? Anyone need more time? So we'll close the polls in 3, 2, 1. So it looks like number 6 got 20%. Concerted effort to reach traditionally underrepresented communities. And then it looks like number 7 had 16%. informational field trips around also impacts on the project and surrounding areas. And it looks like number 1 had 13%, which is move the meeting location around the county to attract diversity of participants. And there was some good good energy around the others as well. So that's very helpful. Thank you. Appreciate that input. So everything that you have accomplished, as I mentioned, will be in the real-time record that will be available later, probably early next week, TampaBayNext.com. And I'd like to ask Jonathan, who has been capturing your vision and your priorities as we've been sharing them, to speak to the masterpiece that's being created over here. Jonathan, I'm mesmerized.
Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. So, anyway, you've got this concept or idea of connectivity. That's just the sort of feeling that I got as I listened to you all speak. So basically, you know, it kind of looks like hands across hands, but you know, the idea, the concept is just being able to connect. The concept of multimodal, how we connect, how we get from point A to point B. You know, not a lot of cars in here, but I just thought about the idea of people. You know, when you look at a car and, you know, the car's full of people, you wonder, okay, where are they going? Are they comfortable? Are they late? Are they frustrated because they're sitting in traffic? So we just removed the vehicle and just focused on people. And also some of the ideas around the strategies of getting to your place of work, getting to shopping 24/7, your ideas around connecting to some of the metropolitan areas around here, particularly downtown St. Pete. We mentioned the airports, connecting Pinellas County, but also thinking about the whole region and beyond. Funding, signage is very important, you know, just making sure that people, if you're not from here, you can get to your destination. So we're going to enhance that a little bit more. So.
So overnight, he's going to splash this with full color and take this to finished artwork, and you can start to see the vision unfold for Pinellas County in terms of what's important to us. At this point, we're opening it up to public comment, so I'll ask my team, do we have any public comments?
There were no speaker cards.
No speaker
But
cards?
if anybody would like to address, I'll be happy to grab one for you.
Sure, yeah. We do have a comment table as you exit as well, that you can capture them formally, and we'll open it up to some brief public comments if you like.
That's the only reason I came. I have 3 minutes. I'll make it short.
2 minutes?
We need to start pouring concrete now. So let me just ask a question. If you agree with this problem, let's tell FDOT to fix the problem now. Okay? The past leaders of FDOT are gone. We've got the new leaders back here. Let's tell them to get the job done. Who agrees that we have a problem north of the Howard Franklin Bridge into the airport and to over there? Okay? Are we tired of sitting on the Howard Franklin Bridge? Okay? So let's make some noise. Okay? Let's tell FDOT right now, let's get the job done now. Because guess what? Their current plans are not to fix it until at least 2025, which is 8 more years from now. Okay? So please tell them, call their number, okay? Have the passion, because everyone sits there every morning and every evening. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey everybody, so I'm a visitor from Hillsborough County. So this morning, I want everybody to check out the newspaper. Caitlin Johnson did this really interesting article. When this meeting started, there was this whole idea of not having toll lanes being part of the Howard Franklin Bridge. Well, that's not what we saw this morning. We've actually have additional lanes on the Howard Franklin Bridge. 2 of those would actually be toll lanes. There would be those 2 lanes would actually be traffic that's going to be passing each other on a single bridge. Now, I know that we have I think a Florida Highway Patrolman over there, and I'm not going to urge him to speak or anything, and he can tell me I'm wrong, but it's a very dangerous job to govern a lot of the accidents and the issues that we have on the roads. It's unsafe. If these express lanes on the Howard Franklin Bridge were to have any accidents, it would be very, very difficult to go over a concrete barrier and to rescue or help these people. It would also be very difficult to run an express bus, for that express bus to be on time. The other thing too is that a lot of the funding for these type of road systems are through a concessionaire that's determined by a general contractor. So what that means is that we end up borrowing money up to 7 to 12% interest rates. We don't actually go after a competitive municipal bond market to fund for these roads that are about 3 to 4%, which is crazy. We talked about funding. One of the funding things that we can do here, like in Seattle, if we all work together and we lobby to Tallahassee, is to go for the green bond market. And with that said, we can fund for transit. We wouldn't necessarily need to be dependent on Tallahassee themselves. So I just want to let you know there is another opportunity here. So we're in this meeting, we're having a discussion, it's a great thing. But there's this group called TMA, it's a Transportation Management Area, I believe. They have quarterly meetings, I think it's quarterly. So they meet at this building called ACOM, which is an engineering firm, Rocky Point, and then 60. So it should be on your Planning Commission website or your own website. Definitely go to those
20
meetings.
seconds.
Okay. Definitely go to those meetings because that's opportunity for you all, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Pasco County, to comment on how you want to connect cities and areas. So with that said, hopefully I'll see more people at these meetings. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So, my question is, TV Next was the second phase of TVX. So TVX had a pretty shortened time frame to it. Where's that time frame now?
So there are several components. Now, don't confuse, TV Next is not a project. TV Next is a conversation. TV Next is this process we're going through now. So what we currently have programmed in 2020 is the Howard Franklin Bridge. Well, let's go start earlier than that. What we currently have going under construction here later this year is going to be the Gateway Express, which connects the Bayway Bridge to the airport to 275, 19, and 49th Street. And that will connect to 275, and the first piece of the express lane, the TBX concept, will be that connection from 275 roughly Gandy up to the base of the Howard Franklin Bridge. That will be starting construction later this year. The Howard Franklin Bridge is funded in 2020 for construction. Beyond that, this is what this conversation is about. So the connection on the other side, the State Road 60 interchange in the West Shore Airport area, the connection to the downtown interchange, the piece out to Plant City, up north to roughly the Busch Gardens, USF area. All that is still being discussed. We're still looking at finance funding options. Nothing has been decided. We haven't decided on a concessionaire. We haven't decided on a bonding or anything like that. What we're waiting on is a conversation. We're waiting on TV Next, the program, the conversation. What do we want to do? How do we want to proceed? It's hard to go to Tallahassee and say I want X when we haven't figured out what exactly do we want, right? So this is what this conversation is about. I don't want the conversation to be clouded about, well, the department's already made their decision. As I said before, let's put those decisions aside. There are pieces of this project, such as the Howard Franklin Bridge, that we have to do. By statute, I mean, there's things that we have to do. There are things that we would like to do, but we also want to make sure that whatever we're doing, it's what the community is saying what our need is. And so this is what we're out here talking about. So let's not get, I know there's a lot of things been said and a lot of people are reading a lot of things and it's easy to get caught up in that. But what we're here talking about is what do we want to move forward with? How do we want to proceed? That's what the takeaway should be. So hopefully I have answered your question. I went a little further, but hopefully I've answered your question.
But when do you expect the construction to be done?
Howard Franklin Bridge
No, the construction. Everything you listed, okay?
Oh, Oh, I don't know.
You don't know, well,
Yeah, I don't
give a guess to me.
I can't. I don't-
2020, 2030?
Possibly sooner than that, but again, until we figure out what we wanna do, Dale, there's no way for me to answer that question.
And it may be helpful if you talk about the timeline for the SCIS and when the decision will
Okay.
be made, and then
So, we're going through a process now, and I don't wanna overcomplicate. Let me explain a little bit of something, and then let me also tell you something that we're doing that's gonna help with folks understanding what we're doing. So right now, the West Shore interchange section, all the way up to the downtown interchange, is going under what's called a supplemental environmental impact statement. Now, environmental impact statement is the most rigorous document that you can do as part of the National Environmental Policy Act. And that requires an agency, any government agency spending taxpayer money, when you make a decision that's affecting the public, you have to go through this process. And there's various levels of this process. Some very easy, it's a sign-off document. Some very complicated, where you have to go in and look at the social economic impacts, you have to look at the natural environment impacts, as well as the human impact, and there's a very rigorous analysis that has to be done. Originally, we did this this is where the history comes in. We did this back in the 80s, and we updated it in the 90s and in the 2000s, and so we heard through the TBX process, well, this is an old document. Why are you working off an old document? So we partnered with Federal Highway as part of TV Next, and we said, let's reopen that document, and let's go through every decision that was made, and let's reevaluate it. And let's bring it up to date. So what has changed in the communities, I mean, if you've been to the downtown area, you've seen what's happening in Tampa Heights and Ybor and Seminole Heights, there's been a lot of redevelopment that has occurred, there's been a lot of things that have happened, so how does that change the decisions we made back in the 90s? Is there a change? So that's what we're reevaluating, that's what we're reassessing, that's the SCIS portion. The other portions, such as the Howard Franklin Bridge, section north I-275, I-4, those are new environmental documents that we're evaluating. So we're going through a complete evaluation from the National Environmental Policy Act. We're going through a complete evaluation of all the social, economic, human impacts associated with whatever project we end up with. And we will finalize those documents once we go through this process of finding out what are we going to do first, right? What are we going to do, and what are we going to look at? What is the impact? So that's the process we're going through. So let me tie in something else that we're going to help, because believe me, I get just as confused as everybody. So we're putting together a series of primers to help folks understand. And one is going to be the environmental process. So what is it that we're going to be doing? What exactly, when you talk about social economic impact, what does that mean? You know, what do you evaluate? So we're going to go through we're going to do it through a series of webinars. We'll go face to face. Maybe this meeting might be a good format for that. We're going to explain that to you, and we're going to explain it to you in simple terms, so everybody understands exactly what we're analyzing, what we look at. So these are important things. When we talk about transit, I hear a lot of conversations about transit. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's a big difference between a light rail transit, bus transit, a BRT transit, and a heavy rail transit. They're funded differently. They require different commitments from local partners, from agency partners. What does all that mean? And so we want to put that together in an easy to understand process. So this area, this region is informed. So when we have these meetings and we have these discussions, we're sitting down with some of the smartest people that you probably will end up knowing just as much about this process as we know. But we'll do it together. What we're trying to do is make sure everybody's informed, everybody understands through this process of evaluation, through this process of discussion, that we're all understanding what we're talking about. Because I read this and I know there's when people talk about wanting transit and wanting different things, but that means different things. What does that mean for the Howard Franklin Bridge? Many people probably may or may not know Pinellas County had an alternative analysis that showed light rail coming across the Howard Franklin Bridge. Okay, is that what we're talking about when we talk about transit? Is it bus rapid transit, which is a lower cost implementation of transit? So these things we need to talk through, and we need to make sure that folks understand as they're talking about these things, that they understand what they're talking about. We don't want to hide anything. We don't want these things to be secrets where we come to you later and say, okay, this is the decision you made based on what you told us, and you say, wait a minute, we didn't tell you that. We told you something different. We want you to be informed. So this is a process. This community engagement is not a one and done. We're gonna be involved with you. We're gonna be involved with you through, not just through the SEIS environmental analysis, but you're gonna be involved through the RFP development. Whatever product comes out of this, whatever project we go to construction with, you will be involved in that. You will see that document. So whatever commitments are made, whatever promises, whatever we have decided on, you're gonna see that. And you're gonna be able to know that we're following through with the discussions that we have. And even as we move into construction, if you wanna be involved in that, you know, this is an effort to be totally transparent with this process. And we think that's important because we understand that, you know, I just don't wanna walk away and leave you guys thinking, okay, we heard you, now let's go do it. No, it's not gonna be that way. We heard you, and you're gonna watch us do it, and we're gonna do it together.
We are at that hour, 7:30, and we thank you so much for being part of the first of many meetings to come that will be important work for Pinellas County and our region. So give yourselves a round of applause, and we look forward to next.com, and we'll be in touch. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.